Hello, everybody. We're going live for Tuesday Talks. Today we have an amazing person called Linda. Linda is a creative life coach plus love coach. Linda also is an artist with fabulous artwork that I've seen on her Instagram. So we'll get her on board here. And hello, Linda. How are you doing?
Good. Hi, Sishan. Nice to see you.
You too, you too. Thank you very much for hopping on to Tuesday Talks, and thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Um, I've done a short introduction for you already, but obviously you're the best person to let us know who you are, what you do, and the biggest question is, why do you do it?
Well, I have landed in a really interesting second career. I was born a very creative kid. I was an artist. I consider art, my relationship with art, as my first and best relationship. And I'll fill in a lot of blanks, but had a really wonderful 3-decade career as a corporate artist in fashion merchandising, fashion retail art, creative director, art director, fashion illustrator, designer, um, and have now ended up being a creative love and life coach. So the journey from being an artist child to where I am now was one I never expected. But we never expect our journeys necessarily until we look back and say, okay, that made sense. That made sense why I took this journey. So, so your question was, how did I get here?
Yeah. So that's great, and the other one would have been, so and why are you doing what you're doing now? As a creative life and love coach. That's what you're doing now, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's because I realized a few years ago that there was a common struggle of a thread for me, a common struggle. I watched how I was having trouble showing up as me authentically. I'd always known in my relationships I struggled with that. I was kind of a people pleaser. I would, sort of dim my own lights to try to figure out what other people wanted me to be. And I started noticing that I was doing the same thing in my art practice. So I'll kind of start from a young child. So yeah, I was born very creative and born an artist. And my parents, who were really good parents and really conscientious parents, were also struggling with their own trauma of having alcoholic parents. They had alcoholic fathers, and so they were very, conscientious parents. But one of the legacies of alcoholism in a family system, and it can go on for generations, even if there isn't alcohol in the house, like my house didn't have it, my parents did. And one of the legacies is a fear of expression. Feelings are dangerous to the delicate, very fragile family structure when there's addiction, because feelings end up kind of disrupting and turning over the apple cart. What is not okay is for people to say, I'm not okay with this, because it calls out the elephant in the room, which is this person is not present, they're ill, they're sick, and they're screwing up the family, and no one's allowed to say that because there's all this denial around alcohol. So so my family, my parents, who were doing the best they could and were pretty traumatized by this, brought into the family that I grew up in this real fear of feelings and expression. And we were just bottled storms. Nobody could express. No one could really say what they felt. And here I was, this expressive artist child. And I always knew as a child there was something incongruent, something about this world I was living in that was not congruent with me as an artist. So one of the things that I really did is I really struggled to connect, to get connection and validation in my family, because I couldn't really show up as me, feelings were like, shamed and dismissed, and you couldn't express yourself. So I did art. So I spent, so much time in my room creating art. So I call art my first relationship, my first good relationship. And that is where I could really be myself and really express myself and explore what I love and explore what I love doing. And it was just pleasure for me. And it also got me love because I was pretty talented. And so I got recognized for that, and I got love through being an artist, being special that way. I went on to take this love of art and fashion and drawing, and I had a wonderful career in fashion, retail, art, merchandising, as a graphic designer, an illustrator, an art director, and a creative director. That went on for 3 decades. And so it was wonderful. It was an incredible journey, incredible career. It was creating art for a product, for a company, for a boss. And that was okay for quite a while. When I got older, however, I started to, and I elevated in the company, becoming more management and director roles, and sitting in meetings and not really doing the creating part. I started to feel really disconnected. I was like, okay, I'm really disconnected from my own work now. I don't do my own work anymore. So I just randomly signed up for a workshop in Sayulita, Mexico, with a really amazing teacher and abstract artist named Nicholas Wilton. And it was abstract art. And I thought, abstract, I've never done that before. Well, that'll be interesting. So I went and I did it. And I showed up wanting to perform, because I was a performer. I was a performer for people. I was like, what do you need me to be? I'm going to be the best version of me you need me to be. I didn't show up. It was like, who do you need me to be? So I was like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to kill this thing and I'm going to make great art. I'm going to prove myself. And I didn't. I mean, and the reason is because abstract art, there is no target. When I'm doing a face, or I'm creating a design or a photograph for a product, I kind of have a target. Abstract art, the target is your soul. You're expressing your soul. And I wasn't connected to mine. So I started painting, and I didn't know what to paint. I did not know what to paint. I was like, and Nick would be like, well, what do you feel? I was like, I don't know. I'm not connected. And I realized it was deeper than I don't know. I'm not connected to my expression in art. I'm not connected to me. Because I'd been in a marriage that had been really good for a long time, but that was starting to fall apart. And I was in a job that the last job of my career was very managerial, and it was internet. It was to direct the internet product photography for a big company. So it was like 1 million images a year. And so it was my job had turned from creative to very production. And so everywhere I looked in my life, I was like, okay, this job is not me. This marriage is no longer me. There's kind of nothing in my life that is any longer me. And so here I am trying to paint these, abstract paintings. And I'm realizing abstract is asking me, who am I and what do I love? And I don't know. And I call it my meltdown in the jungle. I had my meltdown in the jungle in Sayulita. And I remember painting late at night, and Nick was the teacher, and I remember going over to him and kind of dropping to my knees in front of him under his table because I didn't want anybody to see me break down. And I said, Nick, I can't do this. My stuff looks like a Bed Bath & Beyond shower curtain. I can't do this. And he gets down on his knees and he goes, you're exactly where you need to be. This breakdown is exactly where you need to be, because there's parts of you that need to die and you need to let go of. So that started an incredible journey of untangling. It's what led me to be a relationship coach, oddly enough, because what I realized is when I scanned my life, so much of my pain and struggle was around relationship, was around not showing up as me, showing up as who I need, who I thought people wanted me to be, feeling, because I was basically raised to believe that who I was not okay. What I had to say was not wanted. And my feelings were unacceptable. So I realized, okay, this is a relationship issue. And I have a relationship with my art, and that's not going well. And my marriage, because I went to the jungle and had a meltdown in the jungle and realized that how much out of alignment I was with every area of my life, and it was showing up in my art, I continued abstract painting, and I worked in a one-on-one mentorship with Nick, which was very lucky, Nicholas Wilton. And midway through that mentorship, I realized I needed to make a big change, and I left that marriage. And and a year or so later, I started a new relationship that really made me see the ways in which it was very triggering, because it showed me the ways in which I get in my own way. That I had this sense to know that the anxiety I was feeling, or the anxiety I would feel in the relationship, was actually more about me. I just had this sense about that. I was also starting to really feel unhappy with my job. Like, this isn't me anymore. So I had been listening to a podcast for a while. It was the Relationship School with Jason Gaddis, and really loving what he had to say, because I realized, that I was in this new relationship, and it was really like bringing up a lot of stuff. And I ended up enrolling in a 2 courses with him that was 15 months total, and getting certified as a relationship coach, because I had this instinct that this is about relationship with me. And in that course, there was a lot of taking myself apart. I would say the first half of the 15 months was really just deep diving into ourselves as students. Because when you coach, if you haven't been there, you're not going to lead somebody else there. If I don't do my own deep work of really looking under the hood, into the places that really scare me, I'm not going to be able to help somebody else do that. Because the places that really scare us are the exact places we need to go to find the keys that will unlock what holds us back, and more importantly, what do we love and want? Because what we love and want, what I learned is what we love and want is our roadmap for our lives. So, but very much often is, in the way of what you love and want are fears. And so when I did this deep dive into, and part of my relationship coaching, I deep dived into what really was underneath the fears I had around relationships. And I realized it was all about the fear of self-expressing, and understanding why that was, how that affected me, and what does a healthy relationship look like. So I did this 15 months of training, and that ended a year ago, and continued with business coaches and spiritual business coaches with whom I've continued to just really take myself apart, and my fears, and what was holding me back. And and go into my shadows, which was super fascinating, very, very fascinating. Shadows around what I call the prostitute shadow, which is being like, I turn off, and around in a relationship or even doing art, it's like, what do you need me to be? Who do you need me to be? Because who I am is not good enough. So I need to be what you need me to be. And I realized that and bully shadows like you're never good enough. You're, why are you always wrong? You're broken. Really got to see those things. And those were messages that I'd always lived with, but they were so familiar that I didn't realize they weren't me. That I am not those voices. We are not the voices of our fears. We are something much greater than that. So, I mean, so here I was at midlife, just finally taking the hood off and going, oh, wow, listen to the way I've been talking to myself. Listen to the way I have been showing up in relationships, which is I don't deserve very much. I can't ask for what I need. I don't even know what I want. And see how I'm showing up in my art career, in my art practice, which is who's going to like that? No one's going to like that. What should this be? Who should I paint for? What should I paint so that so and so would like it? So it was a hard time. It was a hard time because everywhere I looked, I was like, wow, I am just bumping into myself every which way. So, and it was I was miserable painting. It was like, I look back at what I painted because I would take pictures as I went. And I look back maybe months or years later at my paintings and I go, that's fantastic. Who did that? And I didn't like it at the time. And I covered it up or I painted it over or whatever. I destroyed it. And that was me never, ever being good enough. It was never good enough. And I'm a good painter. And I look back and I go, I wrecked that painting. And my partner, who's also a painter, he would say to me, he'd watch me do it. He'd go, what happened to this painting? It was so great. What did you do to it? And he'd say, for somebody who wants so badly to be seen and heard finally for once in her life, you sure do a good job of hiding yourself. And that just hit me like, oh my God, it's so true. It's so true. So, this deep dive into the absolute critical importance for myself and everybody. I'm so in love with this idea of feeling of that relationship with self, because every relationship we have is a relationship with ourselves. That contract that I had that said that I needed to be what you needed me to be, I needed to paint what you need me to paint, was my contract. I created that contract. I signed it. No one else made that. I made that contract. So realizing how much responsibility I had for the experiences that I had in my relationships everywhere, friends, intimate relationships, my relationship at work, with my job, and my art career was all my doing. So there's a profound responsibility that I realize that we have we're responsible for what we create. So that's why when I call myself a creative life and love coach, I don't work with just artists. I work with everybody who feels not in alignment somewhere in their life, and wants to create a life that is, or a relationship that is aligned with what they love and want and who they are. Because it doesn't matter if you're doing art or you're writing or you're playing tennis or you're doing whatever. It's important you do what you love, and it's important that you do what expresses you. And it's important that you be in touch with this is the next aspect that I learned. The source of pleasure, where pleasure resonates in us, where love resonates in us, and that's the body. So this is something I didn't know. And in the course, until I started training as a coach, in the course of training and taking myself apart, I was taught to listen to my body. And that's something I never did before, because the body holds truth. It holds your intuition. It's your truth. It's your wisdom. It is you. like the sacred you. Well, I had to disconnect from that because I couldn't be me or didn't feel like I could. I mean, in my initial relationships at home, that was true, but I carried that belief into my life for years. So there, I had to disconnect from what my body was what my body was telling me. And once I started to reconnect, and going on an ayahuasca retreat actually helped. I I started to notice that I carry around a lot of tension in my gut. I carry a lot of tension in my throat. And I identified that the tension in my gut was I'm not in alignment. Something I'm doing is not in alignment. This tension is this constriction is I'm not speaking up. Now I know what those things are. And after I did that ayahuasca retreat, this that opened the floodgates. This became so physically obvious to me that it was a pain. I had a pain in my throat. It was actually like, it wasn't just an energy pain, it was an actual pain. So then I went to Spain. I took a sabbatical from work. I spent 2 weeks in Spain and ate food and saw art and beautiful miles and miles of olive trees and architecture, and just had a very beautiful somatic experience of pleasure and delight and art and everything I loved. And I came home and I still had 4 more weeks of my sabbatical. And so I went to my studio every day. So I'd been working with, this was actually prior to my relationship coach training. I'd been working with a psychologist who was a neuropsychologist, but who actually was quite kind of brought a lot of Buddhism and meditation, even though he was a neuropsychologist. So he had me meditating. So I meditated in my studio one day. This was after I came home from Spain, and I had a really weird experience. I had like energy coming up out of my body, up through my spine, my arm. I was like convulsing. I mean, not in a bad way, but it was like this energy was just rocking my body. Like I was moving and rocking and shooting out my hands, and I was like, wow, what was that? What was that? That was, whoa, really interesting. It was kind of cool, but I don't get this. So I went back, next appointment I had with my psychologist, I said, so I had this weird thing. And I said, it felt like it was coming from my pelvic area. And he said, yeah, that is your sacral chakra. That is your Kundalini rising. And I had no idea what I was talking about. So I started to notice this. I started to pay attention to this part of my body, in addition to the parts that were telling me, that were uncomfortable. And I started noticing this part of my body was actually telling me what was true, what I liked, what I love. It was a voice, and I started to look into it. And there's a Sanskrit word for that chakra, and I can't pronounce it, but it's basically translates in English as the seat of the soul. And it is the belief was that it is a conduit to your connection to the divine. That and I expand the idea that we are born, created by the universe to be who we are. Absolutely to be who we are. That's our purpose. And that the wisdom, our true wisdom of who we are is not here. It's in our bodies. So when you are in a situation, I grew up in a home where, I had to disconnect from my body. When you disconnect from your body, you also disconnect from what you love and what you want, because that's where it lives. So that started this whole journey of connecting to the source of who I was, which is that sacral chakra, that vessel of me. That's the vessel of us. So that is something I do now. I bring into my coaching. It's about The mind is where the fears live. The mind solves problems, but it's also where our fears live. The mind has a great job to do in helping to this. Here's what the way I see this. So this wisdom in the body, when it's clean, when you clearing out all the shadows, it's telling you what it wants. It tells you about you. It tells you what you want and desire, and who you are and what you value. The mind is great as a great service to that. The mind, because it can solve problems, it can come up with processes, it can come up with tools and spreadsheets and all that stuff. It can be in great service to who you are and what you want and what you love, but it's not where that originates. Who you are, what you love, what you want to create comes from the body, and the mind is in service to the body. And to take it into energy of masculine and feminine is really interesting. The idea that actually that sacral chakra being a vessel is and the seat of creativity is kind of a feminine energy. So love, desire, creativity, intuition lives in the body, and that's the feminine energy. The masculine energy is, okay, we're going to get this done. We're going to go to battle for this. We're going to go to work for this. We're going to get the processes, the tools. So this is in service. This masculine part of us is in service to the feminine part of us, which is, I find, beautiful. Because if you see that part of your body as being kind of metaphorical of creation, and the seed of creation, which is desire for something new, for something, desire to create, desire to see more, to feel more, to experience more. I think that's the energy of the universe. That's why the energy of the universe keeps expanding. It's because it's like, what more can I do? What more can it be? What more can I make? Well, we're just extensions of that. We are actually part of that, is my belief. We are part of the universe doing that. So we are so that's why I don't just work with artists, I work with everybody, because everybody's a creator.
And
That was a long answer.
but no, but it's a brilliant way of you explain the explanation there of first of all what I would like to say, thank you very much for sharing and being vulnerable as well, because there was lots of vulnerabilities there that you shared. I could hear the emotion there as well. So it takes a lot of to open up and speak about it, which you did. So thank you very much for sharing that story, and I can also see that the passion which is driving you to be the person that you are now is such an amazing passion there, which is just visible, and people who are listening to it, they'll be able to hear that in your voice is there, and hence the answer makes sense. Yeah, if you're saying it's long, it doesn't feel long because everything was connected, right? So it's great, and thank you for sharing that. It's amazing, and what I'm hearing from that was so many things that were going through my mind when you were talking about it. The suppression of feeling. At one point, I believe at one point we all go through that in one shape or form, whether that's your parents, whether your siblings. Well, it's inherently passed down to suppress some sort of expression. I mean, I'm also speaking from my personal experience. I had to do quite a lot, but then similar to you, I'm quite creative. I went into music side of things, so production side of things would have been my forte. So I can now pick up. I end up teaching myself because of that. So that would have been. I used to call it that's my escape of me being myself. So that if you can leave me with music anywhere, whatever instrument it is, I am at home with it, you know. And that brought me into finding out all about instruments that are weird and fancy, and you know, all those sort of instruments. And I am, you know, I'm just become a nerd and a geek for that instrument. I'm like, oh, what's this, you know? And that is where then my expression came in, and that's where I was happy. And so when you were telling your story, I was like listening into it. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I can see the how we as a person can divert, because we are designed to express ourselves from a young age. You know, if you look at yourselves when you're born, you're already expressing yourself, whether that's crying all the time when you were born, you know, you can't do anything else, but you can cry, so you cry. Then you start to wiggle your hands, toes, and all that stuff. Then you start crawling, and also you are always expressing something and every time. So at one point society takes over, and then you know, you are taught, oh, you know, this is not right, this is correct, and all that stuff. Whether that's true or not, you are given certain beliefs, which then at one stage are not yours anymore. And you know, at one point you realize, hang on a minute, what is happening here? And then you have to go through the process of unlearning all that you've, you know, learned. And you know, you mentioned, you know, 3 decades of your corporate world that you climbed the ladder, which is in some people's eyes maybe the best success ever, right? So that you've been to the director level and all that, right? So that's the best success ever. But you know, what was it fulfilling? No, yeah, for you, but it was not fulfilling. Yes, well, it was taking you away from what got you into it, right? So what brought you there, it was taking you away from it. At one point, and you were like, okay, yeah, you know, we need to then realize what you need to do, and 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 then you have to start the journey of unlearning all that you've learned to learn the new things. And I know that it's not an easy process, because this time you are much aware of, you know, your mind is set on certain things, and it's gonna say, but it's a bit like, so I'm a more techie person as well, so I always relate back to certain things. You know, like if you're working with a computer or a phone or anything, you want to change certain things, it keeps prompting you by saying, are you sure? It keeps prompting, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to delete this file? Are you sure you want to do this? This will be lost forever. You know, certain messages keep coming up, right? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And that happens to yourself as well. And this is where your body is telling you, hang on a minute, what's happening? Are you sure? You know, are you falling down, or what's happening? Your body is not sure what's happening. And this is where you said the mindset, where the fears live. And if the mind is designed to protect you, right? So it's designed to function for you, for you to do things, to survive and be safe. That's its main job. And it will pretty much do anything you tell it that is correct for you, right? If you say that I live in the best place in the world, that is the best place in the world for your mind, because it actually does not know what the best place is,
Right.
until you tell it, right? And that's why it will start believing it. You know, the term that comes along from fake it till you make it. You know, I understand it, but I don't 100% believe it. Why are you faking it? Faking is basically, you know, oh yeah, you're pretending to be it. But if you believe that you are already that person or that place or whatever you are, your mind will make you that you'll start acting like and doing things like where you want it to be. And I love that, you know, your was it the mentor, the artist mentor said that you are at the right place that you needed to be, and you're the only person that can find that place, right? You have to come to that place yourself. And it's great that it took the abstract art of to bring it, right? And you know, the abstract art, I love the abstract art side of things, because it's depends on the person what it means to it, right? Because you could have painted it with such a, maybe, I don't know, anger, right? You know, this all that stuff, and you know, you probably saw some things and and maybe there's a tiny corner which is for love and harmony, and but the rest is anger. But somebody might see it as in, oh wow, I see so much love here and everything, and doesn't even actually notice that there was a little corner that you dedicated to it, right? uh, and so it's all depends on the person looking at it, because again, they're connected to maybe their soul. They're a happy person, or if they are an angry person, they're not connected. They're still going through, they're grinding, they're doing their thing, and they see the art and they're like, oh, I see this, I see that, I don't understand it. Subjective point of view, right? So this is where, and I love that you shared all this and the vulnerability, that side of things. And the takeaway from all that would be for the listeners and viewers would be, you need to take that step to recognize what is happening within you. If you are feeling something that is not working your way, that you should be doing something else, or you should be more than what you are now, you need to then take stock in terms of sit down and say, okay, what's not working? Why am I, what can I do? A lot of people say about questions to ask yourself is why this is happening to me and why and all that. But what that question does to you is that gets you more, in my view, gets you more stuck, because you are just thinking of why. And then your brain starts to look for that answer, which it doesn't know, right? It doesn't know the answer. So it's like, I don't know why. And if you just look at something, oh, maybe that's the reason why, right? Oh, that's it. And you'll just pluck something out, right? And if you are asking it, what can I do to actually feel the way I want to feel, right? What can I do to
How do
be
you
where
want
I
to
want to
feel?
be?
Right. How do you want to feel? That's
That's it.
the question. You brought up so many good points. I think the last thing you pointed is the mind is a problem seeker, a problem solver, but it's a problem seeker. So I know I've been in the loop of, let me just read this book, it'll have the answer. Well, let me just take this course, it'll have the answer. Well, let me just watch this YouTube, it's going to have the answer. If you're constantly looking for the answer outside of you, you're always seeing yourself as not enough, and that you don't have the answer. And that's why I realized it's like the question to ask is, what do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? What do you want to experience? And it's not what's not working. Because if you look for, what you look for, you'll find. If you're looking for what's not working, you're going to find a long list. If you're going to look for why you suck, you're going to find a long list. This is why gratitude and appreciation, it's not a Hallmark card. It's not just a Hallmark card. That is real shit. It really is. Because, what it does, what gratitude and appreciation does, is it puts you into the future state of having received already what you love, even if it's not happening. And that's why it's so important. If you're looking around and going, I don't like anything that's going on around me, the exercise of sitting down and finding the things that you are grateful for. Even, I'm grateful that that person dumped me because it was painful, but I'm in a better place. I mean, even the bad things that happen, find how it served you. And it's like this idea that you can't have to have the thing, you have to have the thing. So in order to feel grateful, you have to feel grateful. In order to notice what is working and what you do have puts you in a place of already having it, which puts you in the future. It's not the problem solving thing. It's kind of a quantum thing where it's like you can be in the linear world of problem solution, problem solution, problem solution, or you can transcend that and just go to, okay, I'm here with my body and my desires and my meanness, my me. What is wanting to be created through me? And just do it. So, but here's the other part. Yes, we have fears, and you spoke to those survival mechanisms we use, that we learned in order to, when we had to exchange ourselves for connection. We traded out who we were for connection. And at the bottom of that is, I'm afraid I'm not enough. I'm afraid I'm too much. I'm afraid I'm not good enough. I'm afraid that if I don't please this person or make them, or if I make them mad, I'm going to be abandoned. And when we're little children, that is death. So, you know, we're not little children, and those are survival, you know, things that we can get rid of. So when we talk about our desires, or we're looking at what we desire, we do have to put ourselves in the mind of having already had it. And that is not being in the shadow of your fears. It is being in the realm of this is possible. This is possible, and it's going to happen. And so the thing about shadows, though, and the fears is we never want to demonize them. We never want to go to war with them. Because when you go to war with yourself, who wins? Right? Who wins? Those are parts of you. The things you're afraid of want the same thing for you as the things you love. So your anger wants the same thing for you as what you love. Your fear, your anxiety, it's all pointing to what do you want. So the anger and, you know, the negative feelings that people try to get away from because they're uncomfortable have really important messages for us. We don't want them to drive their bus. But we want to sit with them and say, okay, talk to me. And what's beneath the fear? What's beneath anger? Well, something I love and value is being threatened. You know, so there's a wisdom to all of that. And you get down and you find the common denominator, which is this is what I love and want. Again, you go back to who you are and in your body and how do you want to feel. This painting behind me, it's very big. You don't see it. I painted it. I didn't have a painting studio for about 6 months because it was being remodeled and I wasn't able to paint but little tiny paintings. And I was able to reflect for 6 months when I get back to the studio, how do I want to feel when I'm painting? Because I had recognized that I was kind of miserable in my painting. I was like, is this right? Is this right? Is this painting good? I don't know who's going to like this. And I was like, that was miserable. So I went into my studio when it was done, put up a big 6-foot, 8-foot piece of paper. And I said, I don't care what this looks like. I am only going to love the work of doing it in the now, the now, the now, the now. The way my body's moving the brush. And it's very expressive and it's very big. And I just said, I don't give a crap what it looks like. And 3 hours later, I stood back and said, my God, that's the best thing I've ever done.
Wow.
That's the best thing I've ever done because I asked myself, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? And you were mentioning abstract art and how people get a feeling out of your art. And that made me think that the world, our lives are nothing but a mirror. Whatever we see and perceive in other people, in our world, in our situation is always a reflection of what we are feeling and the reality that we are creating. So that kind of connects to what you were saying.
Yeah, no, I love that, and thank you for expanding on it. It's great to also to hear this, that how everything is linked to each other, and I love that. So the question would be, so whilst you were going through all this pivoting journey, right? This pivotal moment of diversion, let's say, was there something that you started doing as a routine or a ritual that you are still doing? And if you don't mind sharing what they are.
Well, once I figured out that my answers to just about everything begin in the body. It is and the lower body, the pelvic area, that sacral chakra, that area of love, desire, creation. It's a creative area. It's the intuitive area of our bodies. And this is stuff that I wasn't I'm not a very woo-woo person. I hear people talk about this. I'd be like, oh, that's cute. Until in that day in my studio when my body grabbed me and said, I've got something to tell you. And I've always been here to tell you this. And It is absolutely, people are always looking for, self-love and validation and how to feel accepted. That's where it is. That area, your body contains love. We were born with it. It is baked in. It is factory installed. It is us, the expression of the universe or the divine or whatever you want to call it as us. And it is, so when you ask what I do, it is the practice of I meditate and I meditate so I meditate and bring my energy down into my pelvic, into the sacral chakra, the pelvic part of my body. And that just connects me to me. And then I do that for like 15 minutes, and then I write, I brag. I'm going to do a brag about me. And I'm going to write a bunch of things about what I'm great at, what I love about me, what I'm grateful for, and then what I desire. And that absolutely lights me up. It's like we have a light burning in us that is our essence, that is our flame, that is uniquely us. And connecting with that, for me, I can have a day full of stuff to do. But if I start off connecting with that, I find ways, I naturally actually find a way to do it in a way that serves me, that feels like it serves me, that where I'm not tolerating discomfort. And even if it's grinding through a lot of tech stuff that I get freaked out about, it's like if I'm connected with this lover part of my body, like it's the lover, then this part, the warrior that has to go and figure out this new tech tool, is in service of the lover part of me. And it feels more fun because it's like, I get to have this thing that I really want, and this part of me is going to make it happen. And there's such a difference between when I wake up in the morning and I sit right down on my computer and I start grinding through stuff, and then I notice it's noon, I haven't had my coffee, I haven't gotten out of my pajamas, I'm like tired, I'm thirsty, and I'm working and I'm getting crap done, but it's from the bully shadow of like, sit down, chained to my desk, and it's uncomfortable. The difference is if I start off in my lover part of my body, then I work in a way that is where I don't tolerate discomfort, where I'm doing the same amount of work, I'm doing the same work, but it feels in service to what I love. And it might even, because my body is smarter than my mind, I might even do things in a quicker, easier, and more aligned way, and a more efficient way, because I'm bringing in the intuition of my body about, ooh, let's do this. I'm going to skip this step and go right to this. Whereas the body's like linear and process and doesn't think that way. It doesn't think creatively. So for me, it's just time to meditate, get into that part of my body. And it's a practice. And also asking yourself many times during the day to get into the habit of asking yourself, you know what I'd love? You know what I really love right now? And if you have to set your phone for every half an hour, you know what I'd really love right now? A glass of water. Don't ignore your body, but we do. We ignore ourselves, we ignore our needs, and that, I believe, to be in our most creative and our most aligned, and to better create what we really love, is that connection with the lover part of the lover, which is our bodies. So it's the embodiment practice that I really believe in.
Wow, that is such an amazing practice, and I can see, somebody following that and having the best amazing day, because they will start from a place of love rather than frustration of I need to get this things done, right? Because a lot of time everybody goes through the day to just catch up on whatever the tasks are, whatever the chores are, whatever you need to get things done, right? So you're just trying to making sure that things are done, and you're just trying to achieve whatever that hurdle is for that day, right? And if you're starting from a place of love, already have that meditation, calmed yourself down and happy about it, and everything is then just the flow of, okay, yeah, this will all get done, it will happen, and you know, you have all these things written down for the day to happen. So question brings it is, are you a person who likes things to be scheduled, or you like things to be on lists?
So I want to say I like to be organic. And I think that's because I have a pretty strong creative side of me, you know, that I'm actually pretty suited for this new way that I'm living. I think I always was. And I think a lot of us always were kind of suited for, well, I'll just speak for me, you know, just making decisions through or being more responsive to what I'm inspired by in the moment, what feels like the most aligned decision I can make, which comes from intuition, which means being present with myself. So the answer would be, I use processes and linear stuff to serve actually a more organic, creative mindset or energy, not a mindset, body set and energy. So why do you ask?
That's actually no good, because you know, a lot of new entrepreneurs or people who go about newer journeys or are now going through an learning process and learning new things, they also get you know, challenged by, oh, I've got list of things to now get through. And you know, when you look at the list, I personally love everything scheduled. I follow a schedule. You know, it's more linear. It is, but I also follow the flow that that goes with it, right? So, but if it's scheduled in, my flow is also going with that scheduled, because I schedule the free time in there as well. So myself, I have told myself there is time available for me in here somewhere, right? It will pop up. So my phone will tell me 15 minutes prior to something happening, oh, this is about to happen. And if it's my time for me, it will be, right, switch off everything, go for a walk. So, you know, it will pop up that I've blocked myself for 1 hour, that I'll just do whatever I feel like doing that time. If that is meaning that I don't want to do anything, just go and sit in the backyard, that's what I will do, just go and sit in the backyard. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? But then what I do, I find it for myself is, because it's scheduled, how I find lists are nothing wrong with lists. A lot of people I've met are great with it. I find it was just causing me anxiety, because it was like not ending, but things were just coming onto it every time, right? I was like, it's not never ending. It's like, oh yeah, I'll put one for the list, one for the list, one for the list. I'm like, but there's 5 stuffs come I'll put on 5 stuff before even I've finished the top 2 or 3, right? And so it's growing quicker than it's cutting down. So I was like, no, it's not working. I need to put time for it. If it happens in that time, fine. If it doesn't work out in this time that I've allocated to it, then I need to sit down and look at that task and say, why is this task not finishing at this time? And now, is this important, or is this going to serve me?
Do I still care about this? Yeah. Do I care about that? You know,
exactly.
And I love what you said, is this going to serve me? Because some of the things we think we care about are actually us kind of like avoiding. It's like, what the better question, not is this feel good or feel bad? It's like, what is going to serve me best? That's a really good question.
Exactly.
What's that?
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah. What serves me? One thing I do want to mention is how important all this stuff is with relationships, because again, a relationship is a mirror of what's going on in us, and the ways the things we believe about ourselves in a relationship, like I don't deserve time, or I'm never feeling validated, or this person never shows up for me, or, you know, do you have scarcity beliefs around you know, relationships? And what I've also found is that lens of gratitude and appreciation is a wonderful way to start to get what you need in a relationship. Because, and I've done this where you come to your partner and you go, this is wrong, and you know, I'm not happy, and that is so many people do that. You know, it's like, this just, I'm not happy with something. Well, that is a really crappy experience for the other person because you've just come and dumped a problem and you're not co-creating with them. And you're also not, you're also just, I think I will say, and this probably is a generalization, could be a generalization, but I've certainly done it. I think it's something that women can do with men. They come in, they're like, I'm not happy. You're not. And I think that men really want to make their partners happy, and they're problem solvers, but they're also, so it runs up against like, I want to solve your problem, but I don't want to be responsible for your problem either. You know what I mean? It's kind of a, like, it's not the best way to do it. So again, the lens of love, the lens of appreciation, and the lens of desire is a wonderful way to go into a relationship. Because if there's something, it's like, first of all, what do you want to experience? Always ask yourself that. What would I love? What would I love? Okay, something's not feeling in alignment. Come to your partner and you say, I appreciate this about you. You can always find that. I appreciate this about you. I see where you do this. And you know what I'd love? You know what I'd love to do? You know what I'd love to have with you? It brings in appreciation. It sets them up to feeling already included. It is co-creative. You're not dumping this problem in their lap and going, fix it. And I'm not happy till you fix it. It's not their job, really. We are responsible for our own light. And if that light has something to do with another person, then we need to co-create it with them. And then and see where you see their light. You're gonna get such you're gonna get what you really want to experience when you approach another person that way.
I love that you've shared this, and the generalization is, it's not wrong, because it also happens vice versa, to the other parties as well, in terms of but it is something created by society. That's how I see it, and my observation is that you are conditioned, but not your fault, that way. The expectation is, oh, I'm with you. You're now responsible for so and so and so and so, and the person maybe is not even aware of it, or if they are aware of it, they're trying so hard that they're always messing it up, right? So they don't know what's right from wrong now because they're trying so hard. They're always in panic mode and walking on eggshells or whatever that is, right? I'm just talking about as a general rule of thumb out there, right? That's what observation is. And I love that you shared. It's a place of co-creation. Both parties need to speak to each other about, okay, this is great. I love this. I like this. I like that. And I'm grateful for this happening at that time. And, simplest thing, I remember in one of the previous guests mentioned similar thing, maybe somebody just takes the garbage bin outside without you even asking, or doing it for a number of times, and you never realized it, but they've been doing it for a long time, until that you had to do quite a few times, and you're like, who was taking out this before, right? And because now it's an inconvenience to you that you have to take out that 20 minutes out of your routines or things to do that, right? And it's taking notice of those little things which build upon the bigger co-creation, of which is being together, being in love, and going forward together. No two people get together to make each other's lives miserable. They are always there to support each other and create. And at one point, as society blankets everybody, it becomes other person's responsibility to continue to do stuff, right? And I love that you shared it, and I just wanted to obviously put it out there as well, that I 100% agree. It's from both, but it takes realization, and that can only happen if they are going through the journey that you've gone through, or are aware of themselves
Yeah.
You know, they have to become aware of it and
Mm-hmm.
ask the right questions. And a lot of time, I always say that to anybody I speak to, why do we have to wait for a some drastic thing to happen for us to realize something,
Pain
for
is a
us.
great motivator. Pain is a great motivator. It really is.
And that's what it is. Yeah. And
And
we
this
have
is
to
where
wait
you
for that
thank
pain.
your problems. You thank your pain. You're like, okay, it's grabbing you by the throat and saying, are you okay with this? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. And you nodded to something else. It's like relationships are creations. And again, are you going to be in a looking for problem place? Because that's not creation. Going, what could we do? What if we did this? Is limitless, beautiful quantum field creation. And you can do that in a relationship. You do that in your life. You do that in a relationship. You can go, let's do something different. What can we create? It's all, you get to create anything you want, and you can.
And I love this. I love this. And thank you very much for sharing so much with, for all the viewers and listeners. There's definitely lots of golden nuggets for everybody to take away from this episode. And thank you for, being vulnerable and sharing your story as well. It's such an incredible journey. I'll recommend everybody to check your artist page out as well. I think it's linked already into your bio,
Yeah,
right?
I have Linda Wallace Coaching, which is this one. I have Linda Wallace Studio, and I do coach. My website is under remodel, and it should be back on in any minute now. And it's lindawallacecoaching.com. And that if it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. It's almost there. But people can always message me through Instagram as well.
And that is great. So a quick question would be, what is a typical connection a person should be looking if they are reaching out to you in terms of, right, should I reach out to Linda if I have, if I want this solved? So what kind of a journey that I'm looking at, how would they start?
So on my Instagram, up in the, what do you call that, the top where the info
In
is,
the bio.
in the bio, is a Calendly link to a free discovery call. So we get to talk for free for like 20-30 minutes, and you talk about what is it you want to create, and what is it in your life that feels out of alignment that you want to create differently. And that's where we find out if it's a good thing for us to work together. And then when my website's coming out, there'll be more information about my approach and
You got
and I also have on
future.
my Facebook page, Linda Wallace, I have content there too, and I do courses and things like that too. So
Awesome. So, I mean, I'll definitely recommend everybody to check Linda out. The content on both pages is amazing. The art side of things as well. I'm not just talking from another artist point of view. It is actually amazing. Is there. Thank you very much, Linda. We should be wrapping this up now. So what would you like to say as a wrap up to close today's episode?
oh, I just want people to know how their true identities as beautiful extensions of the divine universe, and here to be you. You are here on purpose. You are you on purpose. I just am so devoted to helping people to realize their true identities and to just live in their own skins, create the life they want, the relationships they want. Be them, go be you. That is the way you honor the divine. That's what you're here for.
I love this, and even the train driver behind you is
I know.
agreeing because he's tooting his horn.
I live in tracks.
So I love that, and I think I also catch the name of the episode that I will keep in mind if and
Yeah.
when it goes on to podcast is go be you. That's what I got from there. That's great. So thank you very much, everybody who has been listening with us live on IG, and thank you for anybody who's going to pick this up on as a podcast later. Thank you for your time. Everybody who was listening to this or watching this, and if you had a inspirational moment somewhere that you thought, oh wow, or aha moment or a spark, so it's now our duty to share this episode with somebody else, or somebody, whoever came into your mind, or also if you had that spark, it's our duty now to share with somebody else, because we do not know who's woken up or gone to bed thinking of a better day today or tomorrow. And if you had that spark today by just watching this episode, it might just create that spark in them as well. And that's all we need. We just need to create that spark, and the person should do the rest as well. So, it's just that get going. And if you had that, we should not keep it with us. We should pass it on. I always believe in pay it forward. So we should do that too. Anytime you feel happy, we should pay it forward, that happiness to others as well. Thank you very much, Linda, and everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
This was great. Thank you so much.